Shadow Rider Calyrex and Zamazenta absolutely dominated this past weekend at Bologna, and we're going to talk about a few teams that I thought was really impressive. Welcome everyone to another Pokemon VGC video. It's me, Ketsu, and today we're going to be talking about the Bologna regionals that transpired this past weekend and just talk about some of the top teams that I thought were really interesting to look at outside of the top two and the top one team that won this past weekend. And oh my gosh, I am such a fan of Calyrex and Zamazenta, of Shadow Rider Calyrex and Zamazenta. So seeing these guys pop up all over the place was just, it was such a dream for me to see. I was so excited to see all of these variants go through. So we're going to look at a few variants today and see what exactly we can get away from this. But if this is the type of stuff that you enjoyed, let me know by leaving a like down below and maybe hitting that subscribe button as well. Helps me out a ton. But let's start things off with the top 8 team done by Francesco Piopero with the Terrapagos Miraidon team. Just full disclosure here, I think there was only like 2 teams in the top 8. I think there was only 2 teams that didn't use Shadow Rider Calyrex and Zamazenta. So I'm just going to go through the 2 teams that didn't concede of Calyrex and Zamazenta, and we're just going to talk about the top 2 that happened as well this past weekend as well. So Terrapagos Miraidon, a really interesting pairing, not a pairing that you see all over the place, but it's a pairing that I thought at least would do very, very nicely here. We're going to start things off with the Iron Valiant, going with that booster energy just to make sure it can get what I'm assuming is a speed boost. I didn't really see the team play this past weekend, but I'm assuming that Iron Valiant would want that speed boost. It's a very good supportive mon. It gets a lot of good potential for it. It's got a lot of good supporting moves. It's got quite a good offensive moves as well if you wanted to go for that way as well. Going into Terragoth to stay clear of things like Rage Powder and Spore, which is quite helpful. Having the moveset of Spirit Break, Close Combat, Disable, and Protect. So it feels like it's kind of that mixed offensive support mon. You've got Spirit Break to kind of outspeed and lower special attack of things like Miraidons and obviously Terrapagos, Shadow Rider Calyrex as well. You've got like all of these other Pokemon that can just get this special attack lowered, which is quite nice considering we don't have an Intimidate Pokemon for special attacks. We don't even have that ability, which I feel like should be here at this point, but Spirit Break is kind of like that nice substitute move to kind of help us get things going there. Close Combat as well, just for nice stab. Disable as well. It does get access to Encore at the same time, but this time we're going for a Disable moveset instead, which is also quite nice. Disable kind of prevents a lot of, you know, moves from happening. You can disable things like, for example, Body Press onto Zamazenta, which is a big threat for these teams considering we've got Incineroar, Terrapagos, and Iron Treads as well, which we'll get to in a second. So Disable does give off a really, really good play here, which I'm not mad about. I think Disable is just as good as Encore. I think it's great. We also have the Rocky Helmet, Terrabug, Incineroar here. Knockoff, Flare Blitz, Spartan Shot, Fake Out. Can't really say much for Incineroar. It's pretty much standard here. And then the Electric Seed Terrapagos, which is quite interesting. Normally for Terrapagos, you'd see things like, for example, Leftovers. That seems to be the main set right now. Sometimes you might see things like a Covert Cloak, if anything, just to kind of stop it from, you know, losing momentum with things like Protect and Fake Out, things like that. But we've got Terra Starstorm, Earth Power, Calm Mind, Protect, same moveset here for Terrapagos, but the Electric Seed is quite nice considering that Terrapagos does have, it doesn't really help for the defensive side since again it is considered a normal type before it goes to Terra Stellar. It's only weak to fighting, and unless you're running a Pokemon that has Vacuum Wave, every single other fighting type move that you see is going to be physical, so it does help countering its one big weakness, which I think is again really, really great here. We have the Focus Sash Sinistra going into Terra Fire, Shadow Ball, Rage Powder, Protect, and Strength Sap. Again, another Pokemon that is very, very interesting here, because while you've got Rage Powder, this also helps you steer clear of, again, fighting type Pokemon that wants to do damage on Terrapagos, so that way instead of just getting the hit instead, you're completely immune because of that Ghost typing, which is again very, very nice here. Strength Sap as well is also something really, really good because you also -1 while also getting a bunch of HP back, so technically that Focus Sash can keep happening over and over again, which is quite useful, to be quite honest with you. Like if it had 30, this thing would be absolutely insane. Like I am such a fan of someone using Sinistra. Like I think Sinistra does have a good niche in this format right now, but of course with Shadow Rider Calyrex it's not exactly great. Ice Rider Calyrex as well, not exactly posing too much of a good presence, but when you do get it rolling, it can be a really good threat in my opinion. So kudos to Sinistra. I think Sinistra is also a really, really good pick. We of course have the Assault Vest Miraidon going into Terra Electric, Electric Drift, Draco Meteor, Volt Switch, and Snarl, standard set for Assault Vest Miraidon, we're used to this, and of course the Iron Treads with the Choice Band going into Terra Bug, High Horsepower, Iron Head, Ice Spinner, and Steel Roller as well. Again, standard set for Iron Treads at this point. We've not really seen anything outside of a Choice Band Iron Tread, so again, I feel like this is just the standard at this point. So Iron Treads, again, not mad at. It's done pretty well. I'm excited to see it. It's very nice. Go for Iron Dreads. Next up is the top 4 team done by Theotim Masao. Again, I apologize if I get the name wrong. I really do apologize. But this is going to be a Lunala and Miraidon set instead. We are going with the Half-Flame Ogerpon here, going into, of course, Terrafire, Ivy Cudgel, Woodhammer, Follow Me, Spike Shield, standard set for Ogerpon here, can't really complain. The same thing for Rillaboom, Assault Vest, Terrafire, Woodhammer, Grass Slide, U-Turn, Fake Out, standard set. You don't really see anything outside of this for Rillaboom and Ogerpon as well. This is just the standard set here. The Leftovers Lunala, not Electric Seed, running Leftovers. This way we can kind of get that HP running consistently here, which I think is also very good. Going into Terra Fairy, standard for Lunala, Moongeist Beam, Moonblast, Calm Mind, and Protect, something that was really cool for Lunala as well. Nice to see Calm Mind coming out back in Resurgence, which is again quite nice. No Wide Guard this time though, which is quite interesting. Normally for Lunala you would see something like a Trick Room and a Wide Guard for the 2 supportive moves, but this time you have a Calm Mind and a Protect here. You're kind of being more selfish with the Lunala, making sure that Lunala can get a big boost of damage as well as just protecting itself, since Wide Guard, I guess, isn't really that much of a threat here, considering that you do have the Grimmsnarl, so you can protect yourself for most of the damage, which is quite nice too. We have the Choice Scarf Miraidon going into Terra Electric, Electric Drift, Volt Switch, Snarl, and Drake Meteor. We have not seen Choice Scarf Miraidon for a minute, and it is quite interesting. Choice Scarf Miraidon is quite interesting, and I know a lot of people have been considering it, a lot of people have been talking about it being a potential thing here, because again, Miraidon is also quite quick. With Choice Scarf, you outspeed basically everything in the format anyway. It's not that bad of an item to give. It's just you're kind of sacrificing a big bulk of damage or a big bulk of, well, bulk to instead just outspeed and just do as much damage as fast as possible, which can also work because Miraidon being quick and being able to pull itself out with a Volt Switch just makes it a whole lot harder to deal with. And the fact that it can never really slow down in time compared with that damage, it's quite insane. Also, I just want to point out as well that the fact that you have Rillaboom and Miraidon in the same team changing terrain whenever you want is also quite interesting, because you kind of have the counterplay against Miraidon mirror matchups here. If you don't want to deal with other Miraidon, you can just bring in Rillaboom. If it's something that, you know, doesn't get handled with Rillaboom very well, you can just bring him a Miraidon. So it helps very nicely for that aspect, and I think that's kind of cool. I think that's a cool kind of switch up here to have 2 terrain setters in the same team. We have the Rocky Helmet Incineroar with the Terra Water, Will-O-Wisp, Knockoff, Parting Shot, Fake Out. Again, another standard set for Incineroar here. Terra Water is kind of interesting because normally we're used to seeing, you know, Terra Bug or things like that. But Terra Water, again, like we said previously a bunch of times, Terra Water is a very good defensive typing. I can't really complain. It's quite nice. It is a quite nice defensive typing here, so I can't complain for Incineroar there. And lastly, we have the Light Clay, Terra Ghost, Grimmsnarl, Spirit Break, Reflect, Light Screen, T-Wave, standard set for Grimmsnarl here. Nice to see Grimmsnarl still doing a bunch of good work. Now, finally, we get to talk about the top 2 teams, and this is the second place team done by Ruben Gianzani, and it is, of course, the Shadow Rider Calyrex and Zamazenta team. So this is going to be one variant of it, and of course, the first place team is going to have a different variant of it. So we're going to compare the 2, and we're going to kind of see where everything kind of falls into place here. So, of course, you have the Zamazenta with the Rusted Shield going into Terra Water, Protect, Heavy Slam, Wide Guard, and Body Press. Heavy Slam is starting to get back a bit of a resurgence here, because I know at the end of about Regulation G, we started to kind of replace that with Behemoth Bash, but I'm guessing that, you know, there's a lot of Pokemon here that you kind of want to deal with Heavy Slam here. There's a lot more Pokemon that do bigger damage here, because things like, for comparison's sakes, Amoonguss takes more damage from a Heavy Slam. Things like Lunala takes more damage from a Heavy Slam. A lot more Pokemon here take more damage from Heavy Slam in contrast to things like Behemoth Bash, which does help you a little bit more. And considering that there are things like, you know, Shadow Rider, or sorry, Ice Rider Calyrex that is weak to Steel, but Behemoth Bash isn't doing too much damage to it anyway, and 9 times out of 10 it is going to Terra in front of a Zamazenta anyway. So, and considering that you do have that whole Terra Water thing that Ice Rider likes to do as well, Heavy Slam and Behemoth Bash are pretty much more or less going to do the same damage. It doesn't really matter. So Heavy Slam does give you that little bit of access to other Pokemon that are just smaller, that are more frail, that are more light, and just be able to do big damage out of the gate. Whereas in comparison, something like Behemoth Bash, where a Pokemon might be a bit more on the physical defensive side, where Behemoth Bash just isn't going to do it, in contrast to a Heavy Slam. So it just plays out a lot nicer here. We have the Raging Bolt with the Terra Electric, having the Magnet as well, which is quite interesting. Protect, Thunderbolt, Draco Meteor, and Thunderclap, standard set here for a non-Assault Vest Raging Bolt, which I thought was really interesting. Me personally, I can never use Raging Bolt without Assault Vest. I just feel like it's essential here, because I just really like Assault Vest on Raging Bolt. But the Magnet also makes things really, really useful here. So adding Magnet plus the Terra Electric and having a really really good stab move in Thunderbolt and Thunderclap, you are doing massive amounts of damage. You are covering so much. It is really, really good here just to get that little extra check on damage as well, which is just fantastic in my opinion. We have the Rocky Helmet Terra Fairy Amoonguss. Normally we'd see Terra Water on Amoonguss because it's just, again, a really good defensive typing, but Terra Fairy also helps you in that aspect as well. Since you're not really hitting this thing with Steel type moves, or you're not really hitting this thing with Poison type moves, so it helps you just a little bit extra here. Spore, Sludge Bomb, Rage Powder, and Protect as well. Standard stuff for Amoonguss there, can't really complain. The Life Orb Terra Stellar Chien-Pao here. Icicle Crash, Taunt, Sucker Punch, and Protect. This one really intrigued me. One, because it's Life Orb Chien-Pao. Again, most likely we are seeing Focus Sash on Chien-Pao here, because Chien-Pao is just really, really fail, especially to those, you know, times for super effective fighting type Pokemon, things like Urshifu as well, that can just run through your Protect. So going into Terra Stellar just means that this thing is purely offensive. This thing just has the pure offense to just do the biggest amount of damage it can possibly do before it goes down, lasting 1, maybe 2 turns at most, especially with that Life Orb chip. You are just meaning to do so much damage out of the gate. And Taunt as well is also kind of a nice tech here, because again, Chien-Pao having the same speed of things like Floodamane outside of the Sun, Koraidon, and Miraidon, it's really fast. There's not a lot of Pokemon that outspeed Chien-Pao, so it's really useful to see as well that you've got Taunt on such a really fast Pokemon like this. We also have the Assault Vest Rillaboom, Terra Fire, Fake Out Grass Glide, Woodhammer U-Turn, standard set for Rillaboom here, and the Focus Sash, Shadow Rider Calyrex, going into Terra Ghost, Protect, Psychic, Astral Barrage, and Encore. So the standard set for Shadow Rider Calyrex, but having that Focus Sash means you can kind of, again, be a bit more aggressive with this Terra Ghost here. So you kind of pop the Terra Ghost, go straight away with Astral Barrage. Don't worry about the chip on Life Orb, because we're not running a Life Orb this time. And even if you was to get Sucker Punch, you are still surviving on 1 HP at the very least, to make sure you can kind of get this damage rolling at least for a single turn, which makes things very, very cool for me. Like, I like Focus Sash, Shadow Rider Calyrex, I like Life Orb, Spell Tag, whichever form Shadow Rider Calyrex gets done, I just like the Pokemon. It's really, really good here. And finally, the first place team done by Matteo Bellata, another form of Shadow Rider Calyrex and Zamazenta, but this time we are running things a little bit differently here. We're not running a Rillaboom here, we're running things like Incineroar here. So we're going to start off with, of course, the Incineroar with the Assault Vest, Terra Fairy, Knock Off U-Turn, Flare Blitz, Fake Out. We are starting to get a little bit of a transcendence back into an Assault Vest Incineroar here, just because this thing can actually just wall Shadow Rider Calyrex forever. Essentially forever. Like, this thing will not go down. This thing is insane. So Incineroar does have like really, really good counterplay here against Shadow Rider Calyrex, which is, again, really, really good here. Not even to mention something like a Lunala as well. Just all these really big special attackers, and the fact that it can probably survive against a Miraidon as well, something that, again, a lot of people are trying to find like a good counterplay for, since it is essentially everywhere right now. But still, it's really, really insane. Like, Incineroar is just so good here. So having that Assault Vest, making sure that you can kind of tank these special attacking hits, Intimidate being able to lower down physical attackers, so you kind of got the defense on both aspects there, which again is just really, really good for Incineroar. We have the Life Orb, Terra Dark, Shadow Rider Calyrex, Astral Barrage, Psychic, Nasty Plot, and Protect. This again was very, very interesting. So the fact that you've got Nasty Plot here means that you can't just freely get away with, you know, protecting and things like that. It's essentially the same way as if Encore went, but a bit more aggressive. So the way it would kind of work is that if you lead something like with Incineroar, or if you're running a Rillaboom, if that's the type of thing that you want to run, and the opponent wants to protect, now instead of thinking like, oh, well, my opponent's just going to Encore me, so I can just kind of pull a switch out and kind of be fine, this form of Calyrex kind of goes like, well, it doesn't matter if you stay in, it doesn't matter if you switch out, I'm going to hit whoever I'm hitting for really, really big damage if you let me get away with a Nasty Plot. Including that Life Orb chip as well, it's just insane. Like, it is no joke. Like, any buff from Shadow Rider Calyrex with a Life Orb on it is no joke. Like, it is going to hit really, really hard. It already hits really, really hard, but you add a +2 on that, I don't think there's a lot of things that can survive like more than 3 hits with this thing. It is absolutely insane. Next up, we have the Focus Sash Chien-Pao going into Terra Ghost, Ice Spinner, Sucker Punch, Taunt, and Protect. Again, another taunt user on the Chien-Pao, which I'm kind of considering here. So this is, again, another very interesting take on Chien-Pao. So we have this taunt here. So again, it's just really, really fast, and it can get away with a lot against the format, which is, again, really, really useful. So I think it's fantastic. I honestly think it's really fantastic seeing Chien-Pao having more of a offensive support side of things instead of having that whole pure offense glass cannon type of vibe. It's nice to see Chien-Pao getting switched up here. And Ice Spinner as well, just because you're not running a terrain setter, so you can kind of just do Ice Spinner and just take away the entire terrain and not have to worry about things like Miraidon, not have to worry things about Rillaboom or any other Pokemon like that. You can kind of just Ice Spin, get rid of it, and then just kind of play the field like that. Kind of nicer. I prefer Ice Spinner, in my opinion. Ice Spin is more accurate. Yes, it is less damaging, but I prefer the accuracy and the fact that I can get rid of terrains as well. That's my preference too. We have the Rocky Helmet, Terra, Water, Amoonguss, Spore, Rage Powder, Pollen Puff, Protect. So normally, I've said this a while ago now, normally you would see Pollen Puff on things like a support, on a Trick Room variant of Amoonguss, but this time we're running Pollen Puff on a non-Trick Room team, which is quite interesting here. But I guess this works out well because you get to buff up, again, your things like Incineroar, which can keep, you know, switching stuff out, keep applying Intimidate, keep applying Fake Out Pressure, just making sure Incineroar stays alive here. And not even to mention, when you are in Trick Room, you can kind of, again, just keep healing your mons over and over again, like, because you are going to be slower than Ice Rider Calyrex. So essentially, if you are stuck in Trick Room, you could just keep healing constantly. You still have super effective damage onto grass types. You've still got all this really, really good pressure on Amoonguss with Spore and Rage Powder and all these other good things. It just works really, really well here. So I'm a fan. I might even consider changing it on my own personal Amoonguss to try and do Pollen Puff and see how it works, but let's see how it goes. I'm intrigued. I'm very, very intrigued. We have the Zamazenta going into Terra Dragon, Body Press, Heavy Slam, Wide Guard, and Protect. Standard set for Zamazenta here. Going back into that Terra Dragon, kind of proving that Terra Dragon is still like the best typing to go for Zamazenta in terms of Terra. Like, it's just really, really good. You cover the Fire weakness, you cover all these other weaknesses, and things like Fairy and Ice you already cover with Heavy Slam, and well, Body Press, especially for those Ice types. It's just really good. Like, Dragon typing is just really good. It's a nice rounded typing to fill out Zamazenta pretty well. I'm a fan. I think Terra Dragon is the best Terra, in my opinion, for Zamazenta. That's just my opinion. And finally is the Magnet Raging Bolt with going into Terra Electric, Thunderbolt, Dragon Pulse, Thunderclap, and Protect. So the same set as we saw with the last Raging Bolt. It's just good. It's just really good. Like, Raging Bolt, I'm loving to see Raging Bolt come back up in a resurgence. Again, I've said this before, Raging Bolt is my favorite Paradox Pokemon. I love Raging Bolt, and to see it come back with such authority like this, I am a huge fan. But next up is my favorite part of these videos, talking about the top Pokemon of both day 1 and day 2, and this time as well top cut, thanks to Bulba Garden. So going into day 1, the non-restricted Pokemon here, obviously Incineroar coming up at the top spot here, and the big 3 again just standing firm with Incineroar, Rapid Strike, Urshifu, and Rillaboom as well. Just the big 3 showing in class here. Day 1 they did very, very nicely here. Incineroar coming up. It's really weird to see Incineroar and Shifu coming up in the 40%, and then Rillaboom is literally third with almost half of that. That is insane. Like, that is really, really insane here, just to see how much of a difference that Incineroar and Rapid Strike Urshifu makes. These two are literally terrorizing the format. They are insane. On day 2, Incineroar literally gets half of the usage. Half of the people in day 2 are using Incineroar. It just goes to show how many people are really loving Incineroar, myself included. I think Incineroar is just really, really great. And then again, we've got Rapid Strike Urshifu going down a little bit, Rillaboom going back up, spiking up in a resurgence here. We do have these other Pokemon as well, like Iron Hands with the Miraidon teams. We've got Grimmsnarl going down a little bit, so I'm guessing this means that people are starting to kind of get the lowdown on screens, kind of getting the lowdown on Thunder Waves, considering that, you know, things like Shadow Rider Calyrex have to go Terra Dark to steer away of Thunder Wave and things like that. It's kind of nice to see, you know, all of these other Pokemon kind of resurging and going around screens. So maybe Grimmsnarl's going to hold on firm all the way up until Worlds. Maybe everyone might have to download by then. Who knows? It's still early to tell. We've got these other Pokemon here like Ursaluna, Chiyu, Farigiraf, Whimsy still popping up here and there as well, which is quite nice. I really love to see this as well. Like, I really love to see Pokemon like Whimsicott pop up. I love Whimsicott. I think Whimsicott is great. Chien-Pao still holding in really, really firm here as well in the top spot. I think this is great. I think this is absolutely amazing. After that, we have the top restricted Pokemon, Miraidon, going into just the top spot for day 1. Of course you would. Miraidon is, again, everywhere, just laying the foundation of what you want out of regulation I teams, but not so much in day 2 or the top cut here. That was overtaken by Shadow Rider Calyrex. Of course, again, as we said before, Shadow Rider Calyrex and Zamazenta was just all over the place this past weekend. Like, these guys were all over the place, and I think honestly, especially in the top cut as well, Zamazenta getting a 42%, I think that is the highest I've ever seen Zamazenta. I think that is honestly the highest percentage I've ever seen Zamazenta since Scarlet and Violet like allowed Zamazenta in the format. I think that is absolutely insane here. Ice Rider going crazy down. So again, we've just got all of a sudden a switch up here. Normally you see Ice Rider in the top 3. It has never been that low before. From what I've seen, I've never seen Ice Rider Calyrex that low in the tables before. Being one of the most lowest used restricted in the top cut is absolutely insane to me. Kyogre, Koraidon as well, the same thing as well. Everyone's kind of getting the lowdown on weather. Everyone's kind of steering away from weather right now. No one's really using weather to that extent. So maybe it's more of the sense there where it's just like, is whether even worth it anymore, but that's something that we touch on in another time. But of course, there's just a whole bunch of other factors to go for here, like of course teammates and things like that. But again, too early to tell. We'll see when World starts coming around the corner, and we'll just see how everything kind of like folds together nicely in the next few regionals. And then finally, the top restricted pairs, of course, Shadowbrand, Calyrex, and Zamazenta being at the top here, 38% in the top cut as well, 15.8%, again being the highest used just throughout the whole tournament, which is absolutely insane. Miraidon Ice Rider, Miraidon Lunala, Koraidon Calyrex as well is another mon that I was quite interested in, but it's shooting down all the way down to a 4.8%. And then Miraidon Ho-Oh as well, this is something quite interesting too, going into a 5.3% on day 1, 3.1% on day 2, and then nothing, like absolutely nothing on top cut. Like it didn't even make it through the top cut. So maybe that shows that that's where it just kind of pulls off in contrast with these other teams. Again, too early to tell, you never know. I still think Miraidon Ho-Oh is a fantastic duo. Maybe just everyone's getting the download on it, but we'll see how that kind of plays out here. But that is it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you guys did, let me know by leaving a like down below, as well as telling me what your favorite team was for this past weekend. And of course guys, I will see you all in the next one. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you soon. Okay, bye.